What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of the Rob Harris Podcast. I'm so happy to have you here today. So glad to be having you joining with me. I'm so beyond appreciative of all of the love and support we've gotten over the weeks, and I am excited to get into some more good stuff this week. To everyone who's come up to me with all the feedback, with all the things that they appreciate about the channel and some of the things that they think could be better about the channel, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time out for doing those things, because that's what this channel was created for, was to build a community and to give you a voice, not just for transformational purposes in your life, but also to help transform this page into something that can be beneficial to you in your life, and something that you want to see and you want and you look forward to tuning into. So again, this is a community-based channel. We're all about transformation. We're all about getting to the next step of what success is for us. We're on a journey to define success for ourselves and continue to push toward that mark. And I thank you for everyone who continues to subscribe and sign up to the channel to see what we have brewing here in this channel and in this community. On that note, make sure that if you're enjoying this, you share, you like, you subscribe this on YouTube, you give a 5-star feedback when these are released as podcasts. We really appreciate the community that is being built, because it really does benefit us in getting the word out there and getting the message out there that this is a truly transformational channel that is applicable. We're taking aspects and things about life and making them applicable to you each and every week, to us each and every week. And again, I'm just the spearhead for that community, but this channel is all about you. This is your channel. And again, thank you for joining me. This week we got some really good stuff going on. I'm going to start off by saying it has been a rough week for me, and yesterday was Father's Day, so it was some weird dynamics going on this week and over the last couple weeks, and I thought about not posting the video because the next video was supposed to be of my wife. And to give you guys some feedback, most of the videos you've seen to this point have been pre-recorded. This is the first video I've recorded in a while, so this should be really good. I am excited about that. But going back to what I was saying, I wasn't going to release a video because I was kind of in my feelings. I don't know if you guys have heard that Drake song, In Your Feelings. I was a little in my feelings this week, and I wasn't going to release anything, and sitting down having conversations with my wife. I remember why I started the channel in the first place. It was to be as transparent as possible and to give information, what helps me get through my situations, hoping that it would be beneficial to somebody else. And so when I weighed not making this episode and just going ahead and recording the episode with my wife, I decided that in my pain and in the things that I am going through, that I would share what came to me that has really transformed my mind throughout this process. I've been able to speak to some people who've been going through some things that they've told me I've been able to help them. And so what I did this week is I sat down, I really thought about some things that came to me that have helped me. And again, this is a platform about application and education. So that's what I hope to bring for you this week. And what came to me is what has helped me get over the hump, and my whole personality, my whole feeling, my whole vibe toward my family, toward myself. That was what was really haunting me this week, is that there was so much personal negativity. I was attacking myself, and there's some concepts that we're really gonna dig into this week that I am excited to give you and to deliver to you, and hope that it is a blessing to you as it was a blessing to me. So I'm going to give you a disclaimer here. This week we are using scripture. We are going to deal with the scripture to help you understand my process and how these scriptures became applicable to me, even though we're talking about spiritual concepts and we're talking about things that are slated for the afterlife or salvation after death. These concepts are very applicable to the things that we go through on a daily basis. So what I would like to do is to give you some of the things that came to me. I'm going to be reading a lot, so be ready for me to look away from the camera. The people who are listening, you should not have too much of an issue, but I just want to give you forenotice. I will be reading, so I won't be looking directly to the camera and engaging you like I love to do. I will get back to that, but I have some notes written down. We're also going to make these notes available to you as you're watching along. And I also have some sentences and some definitions that I need to give you. And that was actually a really good request by somebody who gave me some feedback, is that if I could break down some of the concepts a little bit more as I go. And so this is what I've come up with this week, and I'm very excited to roll out this new format. So again, I know I'm using a lot of hyperbole and I'm using excited, and I am thrilled. I'm over the moon. So again, I'm going to give you some of the points. So I was going through some things this week. I'll give you the scripture first. I will also give you the background of what drove me to the scripture. And then I will go ahead and break down some of the things that came to me with some definitions and some ideas that came to me while I was going through this process. And I'm telling you right now, I'm on the back end of it. I feel myself coming out of it. I knew it was something that I needed to just handle and deal with and allow for my body to and my mind to deal with some of the negativity. But I'm gonna tell you right now that scripture and some of the things that came up helped me get through it. So some of the things that came up, some of the points that came up to me that started to dig right in. And then I was able to find scripture and some definitions that helped me back that up. I'm gonna go with idea number one. The first one was, I'm gonna start looking at my notes, so I hope you guys are ready for that, is we have to maintain a healthy reference point. We have to have we have to have a healthy point that we are aiming at. My uncle talked to me about having a reference point. And so it's like having a due north, like you have a compass and you know north is your reference point. Okay, number two was live for something beyond you. When I get into my biggest issues and my most significant trials and tribulations, I forget that this life is not all about me. And I get really and I'm thinking about all the things going wrong with me instead of having some gratitude and thinking about what can I do to take this situation and make it beneficial for somebody else. And so that's the second idea that came to me. And those first 2 points are things that come to me all the time when I'm starting to get a little wayward with my thinking. Is I have to remember what my reference point is, why I am doing what I'm doing. What am I trying to accomplish in this lifetime? I also always have to remind myself that I'm living for people other than me. Having kids and a wife help me with that. We talked about responsibility, I believe, in the second video. That does help me with that. Number 3 is base your expectations on something concrete. This particular one will start to make a little more sense when we read and we give the definitions. And number 4 is lean not on your own understanding. Lean not on the things that I think or we think are real and that we understand, because there are some things in this lifetime that are beyond our understanding. And so when I'm only looking at myself and I'm using other people as references, I'm using my own understanding. And that's where I start to get wayward. And so those are the 4 ideas that came to me. We will revisit them a little bit later, but idea number 1 is maintain a healthy reference point. Idea number 2 is live for something beyond yourself. Number 3 is base your expectations on something concrete. And number 4, lean not on your own understanding. So like I was saying a bit earlier, and I want to reference this now, is I have been going through something over the last couple of weeks, and it started to really take shape even physically. and I could feel myself tightening up. I can usually tell I'm going through something when, I know this can sound weird, but when my hamstrings start to tighten up and my lower back starts to tighten up. And I'm sure other people have some different areas where they can feel that it starts to manifest in me physically. And I would argue it starts to manifest in all of us physically when we're worrying and we're all bunched up. If you're aware enough of your body, I'm sure that somebody on this call, you'll understand what I'm saying. And so there were things that were going on, and a lot of things started to spiral not my way. I had some expectations of something that I had just done. This YouTube channel included, that I have these expectations of myself, these expectations of being excellent at everything I do. And I started to take a lot of these expectations and allow them to spiral in my own mind and develop some false expectations, which led me to some presumption, which led me to worry. And I forgot my intention. And so in these situations, I began to come out of it because I was able to speak to someone else who was going through a similar situation. And I had ideas for this person. And I forgot that I was grounded in a faith or in a belief system that allows me to come out of it. But I was so indwelled and so tied up in all that I was feeling and all that I was seeing that I forgot that I had a way out. And that's the thing I love about my belief is God always provides you a way out of your own turmoil, because a lot of times the turmoil is self-created. And I know a lot of people, that's even psychologically speaking, you create these situations that are only in your own mind. And so that's where I'd like to start. So I told you that I had this expectation. These expectations were not met. This expectation of success, immediate success, which is not promised to any person. Most people have to meet challenges and rise to challenges and rise to expectations. But for some reason, I had an issue with my expectation, which led me to false expectation, or the other word that I have written down with false expectation is, where are we at? Presumption. So presumption and false expectation can be flip-flop there. And so I started coming up with these presumptions, these things that I believed would happen based off of non-concrete ideas. It was just a mentally created idea. And then I started to let that spiral into worry and anxiety. And so to make that a little bit clearer, I'm going to slow down. I'm going to start with some of these definitions. And as we go through these definitions, I'm going to try to pull it all together. And I will speak about my situation, again, hoping that this situation will help you come out of your next one. Okay, so give me one moment as I start to pull this open for myself. What I'm going to attempt to do in the editing is provide the wording and the definitions so that you can see it as I am going through it. Okay, so I'm going to open that up right now. So the first definition that I'd like to start with is the definition for intention. I believe everything starts with intention, because you have to know your why and you have to remember why you're doing what you're doing. So I talked about a reference point. A reference point is an aim, and that's the same thing we're talking about here with intention. Intention is a thing intended, an aim or plan. That's another good word, a plan. So when developing a plan, you're going to have a due north. Okay, so when we're going through our challenges and when we're going through things that are hard for us to get through, we need to remember why we started in the first place. I just gave you the example. I wasn't even going to record this video until I came out of it. And I forgot that the reason why I started it was so that we can be on this journey together for the ups and downs. What it did do going through these challenges is give me a different message to deliver to you, was that we need to be more intentional. We need to have more of a plan. We need to be able to stick to the plan, the aim that we have. And my aim is God. I need to remember that I'm aiming above and outside of myself and outside of this physical body into a spiritual sense, understanding that even though I might be going through something right now, that's just right now. This too shall pass. Okay. And the second definition that I have is the word expectation. So we go from intention to expectation. There is a difference here. There's a positive expectation. There's also a negative expectation. And we'll talk about that right now. So the positive expectation is you believe something good is going to happen. I believe it says a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future. It's a strong belief. You really believe this is going to happen. That means whatever you're connected to, your plan, your aim, your reference point, or your point of reference is so strong that you believe something positive is coming once you make the plan. And so again, back to my situation is I believe something good was going to happen, but I wanted it to happen on my time, in my way. And I think that that's where a lot of us get off track, is that we lose patience. So we go from an intention and we know what we're doing. We're concrete in our beliefs and our belief systems. And then we have this great expectation. But because the expectation didn't come about the way or when we wanted to, we start to develop the false part of expectation, which is presumption, right? Because one of the main details I'd like to talk about with presumption is that it's mentally created. Okay, so we go from the spiritual creation, which is intention, something beyond us, and now we go to presumption, which is physically and mentally created, which in what we're talking about here is a false expectation. So it's an idea that is taken to be true. It's taken to be true. It's not true. It's taken to be true and often used as a basis for other ideas, although it is not known for certain. Let's read that again. An idea that is taken to be true and often used as the basis for other ideas. So it's not true, but it's still the basis for other ideas. So those ideas in turn are not true, although it is known to be certain. Although it's not known to be certain. So we're taking these ideas. So we were intentional. So that's good. We had some positive expectation behind that intention because our belief was so attached to that intention. And then it didn't happen when we wanted to. And now I'm talking about myself here. I'm not just talking about you. I'm now talking about me. And I hope that this is going to help you. And so I lost my intention. I lost my positive expectation because for me and for many of us, we start to compare it to things that are not real. So if I'm looking at someone else's treasure or I'm looking at somebody else's vibe and I'm seeing them get ahead and they're doing whatever, and I start to compare my lot to theirs, I start to lose track of what a positive expectation is. It becomes a negative and self-defeating expectation because I'm presuming something that's not true. I'm not that person. You're not that person. We are not those people. Our intention and why and when we do things is different than that person. So when we get into this idea of comparison versus creativity or comparison versus expectation, you start to lose what is rightfully yours based off of the plan of action you started in the first place. And so this word presumption is the word for false expectation because it is something that is stated to be true, but was not true at all. Because what was true for you is not true for somebody else. And so we go from this idea of presuming, falsely expecting, and then we move to this idea of worry and anxiety. So if you can start to see what we're doing here, we're looking at it with layers here. So the highest, you're looking at your intention, your point of reference, you're looking up. And then you're moving down to expectations because you're taking what you believe and you're trying to manifest that into something positive for you or your family, your health, your fitness, your wealth, whatever that might be. And then we start, because we're not seeing it the way we want it or time, we start to worry already. So that worry starts to create this presumption or false expectation. And now we're all the way down to worry and anxiety. It really hasn't happened. And even though it's been a week, we have created a narrative, something that is not true. And so worry, the one thing I like right off the bat, it says gives way to anxiety or unease. So you're already disassociated with ease. There's no peace about this situation. And we talked about peace, I want to say in video number 2, or even number 1 as well. We were losing our peace from the trick of our own mind. Let me say that again. We're losing our peace from the trick of our own mind. So this uncertainty, this presumption is now starting to play tricks on us. And I like to attribute it or give the example as a hamster running on a wheel. So worry, and it gives way to anxiety or unease, dis-ease, and I like disease. And here's how it finishes: allows one mind to dwell on difficulty or troubles. There's no way out at that point. You're on this circle. And I'm telling you, I just went through this process. I really, really did go through this process. And I got all the way to worry and anxiety. And the only thing that really snapped me out of it was the graces of God. And speaking to somebody who was going, and I reminded myself through speaking to him that, hey man, I have the answers. My reference point is still intact. Thank God. I can start to create some positive expectations after that. And the problem with me, I'm going to say the problem with me, not with everybody. I'm not going to put you in this. I'm going to talk about me. The problem with me is before I do anything, I want to see the fruits of it. So that's not a positive expectation. I'm not actually in intention at that point. And the word we like to use is I'm not having faith at that point, having a unfailing, unwavering belief that something positive is going to happen, which led me to presumption, which led me to worry and anxiety before something snapped me out of it. God snapped me out of it. This person I spoke to snapped me out of it. Me hearing myself speak to this person snapped me out of it. Speaking to my wife about how sad and how despairing I was and how my heart was breaking. I had to come to terms with, I was there. Sometimes we have to be there. Sometimes God creates situations for him to get the glory. And we talked about that in church the last several weeks. And I was in a position where I had to change my mind. And there is a scripture that came up that I'm going to share with you, because, as I just talked about with faith and having hope, and your intention being tied to that faith and tied to that hope. This scripture really resonated with me, and I'm hoping that it resonates with you. And then we're going to break it down very quickly to try to make this applicable for our lives before we move forward. And then what I want to do is I want to revisit the 4 points with our new understanding of the definitions that we've provided. Really quick. When I talk about that word expectation, there's actually a biblical, in the Greek, it's also in this chapter, Romans chapter 8, there's a word expectation. I want to define that as well really quickly. And I'm sorry for backtracking here, but the word expectation that we just looked up from the Oxford definition is it's a belief in something good. And from the biblical perspective, it is an expectation or a belief in something good, but it is a joyful confidence. And I wanted to say that before we moved into the scripture, because again, we talked about this in, I want to say it was number 1 or number 2, that we are looking for joy, not happiness, not a fleeting emotion, but joy, a state of being, a state of mind. So you're having a state of mind that exudes confidence. You're having a joyful confidence. And so it's not just confidence and you're believing something positive is going to happen. You're doing it cheerfully because you are so attached to your reference point. You are so in lock and step in such a relationship with God, and you're so dialed in with that relationship that you can wait on him patiently and joyfully. Isn't that beautiful? Man, it's something that I need to get better at. I need to get better at it. I just told you about the situation. I have to get better at it. I don't know if anybody else, you can raise your hand and say you can get better at it. Whatever your point of reference is, you need to remember your why, so that when you get into these situations that can put you down and out, breed anxiety and potentially depression, you have to have a way out. And it might take a couple of days. It might take a week. It might take a month. You still want that way out. You don't want to live there. And that was something I was talking about with someone recently. Just because it happens, you don't want to live there. I teach my daughters that, like, it's okay to be upset. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be angry and frustrated and sad. Those are all beautiful things to feel. It's part of the human experience. But you don't want to stay there, because some of those things, you start to have some presumptions and some negative false expectations that start to cloud your mind and send you in a position and in a state of being that is unjoyful, you know? And so you don't want to stay there. You want to feel it. It's a good thing to feel it, but you just don't want to stay there. So let's get into Romans chapter 8, 24 to 25, and then we'll get out of here after we revisit the 4 ideas that we had in the beginning. So this is what came, and you all know by now that I'm a believer, and that's really what we're talking about today. The reason why I thought this was important is because I've given you so much insight into me and in my life, and I have not really told you the tools. These are the tools. So what I'm doing right here is breaking down how I recover and how I get back to my intention, and I get back to my point of reference, my aim, my plan. And so this is how we're doing it. So we're going to Romans chapter 8, 24 through 25. And it says, and this is the King James Version, so bear with me for people who don't read this verse very often, but this is what we're doing, all right? So 8:24. So for we are saved by hope, but hope that is seen is not hope. For what a man seeth, why doeth he yet hope for? Why does he need hope if he's seeing it? But if we hope for that we see not, then do with patience wait for it. You will wait for it with patience if you have hope. You don't have hope if you have to see it. You don't have faith. That's the word that I want to tie in. You don't have faith. You're not dialed in with your intention, your purpose, your plan, what you were created for. If you have to see it. And then look, I'm telling y'all right now, I need help. I got to get better at that. I got to get better at it. For we are saved by hope. We are saved by hope. Spiritually, but naturally. Because if you dwell in it and you dwell in the presumption, you delve into the negative self-talk and the lack of creativity and the competition that wasn't really your game to be played in the first place, you can't be saved here either, right now either. So what this scripture is saying is get you some hope. And I like to say, get you some intention so you can have some hope. Get you a point of reference, get you a plan so that you can have some hope, so that I can have some hope. I'm saying you, but I'm really talking to me. I got to stick with the plan. I love that. The idea that came to me when I was reading this is the great expectation. The great expectation. I love that. Because your expectation can be great one way or another. It can lead to presumption or a joyful, cheerful, patient way of waiting. And that is a direct reflection of your confidence in your intention and your point of reference, right? So whatever your point of reference is, if you find yourself down in the dumps often, you might need to adjust your point of reference and find something else that will pull you up out of yourself so that it isn't always about you, so that it isn't always about me. Look, I'm telling you right now, so that it ain't about me. So let's revisit these 4 ideas so I can get you guys out of here. I don't even know how long we're running right now. I feel good. I love this topic right here. Probably because I was just in it, and for some reason I got hot with it, and I hope you guys love this too. But let's look at these 4 ideas real quick and revisit them now that we've gone through the whole process. Okay, so my idea number 1, the great expectation. That's the title. Okay, I like that. The great expectation, one way or another. Right. So number 1, maintain a healthy point of reference. We've talked about that the entire time. How healthy your point of reference is going to show exactly how you handle issues. And when you're going through issues, we gonna see. We gonna see. Number 2, live for something beyond you. If your point of reference is dialed in and is strong, you're going to live for something beyond you, because you cannot be your own point of reference. You did not put you here. You did not give yourself the plan. All the talents that you think, or all the things that are physically manifested in you, it could be talents, it could be wealth, it could be work ethic, whatever. You did not give that to you. You did not create it. So if you are not in tune with something beyond you, hey man, you got to find, and for me, and what I'd encourage everybody is to get God. If you're not in tune with God, it's going to be real tough, right? Because everything else becomes physical, and it's all about something that is fleeting, because we all pass away. Wealth passes away. Your body passes away. So you got to get something that's beyond you. Okay. So number 1, maintain a healthy point of reference. Number 2, live for something beyond you. Number 3, base your expectation on something concrete. What did we talk? We talked about this. Now, this is almost like a play on words, because in verse 24, it said, but hope that is seen is not hope. But what is concrete is that there is something beyond you. Hello. That's what I'm talking about right now. That is concrete, that you did not create you, that you did not give yourself your own plan. But if you can get in contact with that relationship, not only is it going to be easier for you to maintain your point of reference, it's also going to be a lot smoother for you to live beyond yourself. It's going to be a lot easier for you to come up out of yourself, because your expectation is something concrete, something that is beyond our own. It says, and that's the last point. Don't use your own understanding. People want to talk about science all the time, but science is just proving that there is something beyond you. Science was put on the planet to prove that there's something greater than we can even fathom. There are things to this day that the human mind can't figure out. So if you're just relying on the human mind, you're limiting yourself in all ways. So let your hope be something that is outside of yourself. Let your hope be in something that is unseen. Let us be joyful as we wait for what is to come for us. Let us wait with anticipation and patience. Anticipation and patience, because we believe what is coming for us is for us, right? And for me, the crazy part is, for me to even speak like this, I had to be down in the dumps. Don't be like me. Don't get so caught up in your presumptions and your false expectations. Presumption, false expectation, interchangeable. Don't get so caught up in something that is not true for you to have a testimony or something to say, or to come up out of it, to remember what your reference point is or what your aim is. That's what I'm saying, is that your boy fell so hard that I had to talk about it. You feel me? And so I really hope that this was helpful for somebody. I know that this was helpful for me. So even if it just helped one person, and that's me, then, hey, hit me up in the comments though. Let me know what you thought about this. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Hit me up in the comments. I get one person every week for sure. I'm starting to get a second person. I want to see people in the comments. If you're seeing this and you like this video, chat with me, man. Like I said, what I'm going to do, I'm still a rookie to editing. I'm going to try to get all the notes put up as we're going along so that you guys can see. And if you wanted to write it down, you can write it down as we go. I see a lot of all these other fancy YouTube channels, so I'm going to try to get on top of that. I just love that you're here, and I love that you're joining me. I do want to get my wife on here this week. I'm gonna drop this one this week. I know I said my wife was this week. I'm gonna drop this one this week. I have another one that I want to release potentially next week, and then maybe I'll get my wife after that. She said maybe we can record tomorrow. So let's joyfully wait. Let's have hope that that's gonna get done, because again, she's a wealth of knowledge, and she's gonna get to maybe talk about what she had to witness with me going through this the last week or so. And yeah, man, it'll be a blessing. I'm so grateful for you guys being here. Thank you for joining me today. I love you. I thank you very much. Let's continue to make this a community that everyone wants to be a part of. I thank you. I love you. You have a good one.